Good day, fellow Namibians, and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Inspirational Notes with Nam Inspiration. On today's show, we are joined by a very special guest who served as a diplomat, a fighter in the liberation struggle of Namibia, and chief of the Namibian Defense Force. I'm talking about none other than General Martin Shali. General, I'd like to thank you for making time to be on today's show and welcome you and say good morning to you, General.
Yes, good morning, Miriam, and I would like also to thank you and your team for inviting me to your program, and looking forward to giving you all any other information that you require from me. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, General. Not only myself, but Namibians and the world at large are interested and would be interesting to hear about your inspirational story. So I'd like us to start by asking you, General, when and where were you born? And as you share this side of your story, just also share if you recall any interesting stories regarding your birth and any influential people at the time of your growing up.
Thank you very much. I want to inform everybody listening that I'm currently busy writing a book, and in that book, part of my history will appear, and you just have to wait, unfortunately, for that book to get to know me better. Mm-hmm. However, I was born on the 12th of July 1954, 4:15 in the morning, at a village that time now Ndangwa town. Mm-hmm. Grew up there, raised up there. I'm the firstborn of a worker and a person. My father was a worker, has been always a worker, while my mother was literally a housewife. Mm-hmm. Most of the time she was home. Mm-hmm. Though she also attended school. She knew how to read and write. She was not illiterate. Mm-hmm. And she's actually the one who taught me how to write, how to read, and also she taught me a lot about arithmetic. That time, not mathematics. Mm-hmm. So she was quite inspirational. Now, the other thing is what makes it interesting from what I hear is because my parents were both very young, and being the firstborn, there are no hospitals nearby. Onanjok was not too far away, but it was quite a distance. Mm-hmm. The only hospital in our surrounding at that time. And I think my mother started getting into labor towards the evening, and they still thought maybe she could make it through the night, but and then I think they panicked. That's what they're telling me, that they panicked what to do. So my father could not help deliver, and she could not help herself deliver. Mm. So my father had to run to a traditional midwife, not far away, 1 kilometer away. So then by the time he returned, my mother has already delivered me. So that's about the story that I hear about it's what happened at the time I was born.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's beautiful and indeed interesting. So let's talk a bit about maybe school years, from the time you started school until where General ended school.
Oh yes, like I said, I was the firstborn, but later on I was we became many siblings. Mm-hmm. So and I was followed by 3 girls, and then later four boys or brothers, if you like. And I attended school at a very early age. I started at the Tambo. That's where now Andimba Toivo Secondary School is. Mm-hmm. And then later I went to Shali, just north of Ndangwa town today. And from there, my parents decided to take me to move to Odibo, mm-hmm. St. Mary's Mission School, mm-hmm. as it were known. Because my mother is Anglican, my father is a Lutheran. And my mother insisted that I attend the Anglican school. Whether they agreed or not, I do not know, but that's how I ended up at Odibo and completed my high school there. And it is where I met so many people, and actually it's where my Odibo was a kind of a radicalization center, if you like, in terms of politics. So we're quite awakened. And even when the Battle of Nguru Gombashe took place, I was attending Odibo school. And also when the Swapo guerrillas attacked Oshikango at about 4 o'clock in the morning, we could see the fire, buildings burning from 3 kilometers away where we were situated. Exciting times. I think those some of the things that really made us. And before that, we have also come across quite liberation icons. And Dimba Toivo was based at Ondangwa. He had a shop there. And I remember also the day when he was arrested at Onjonjo. I just happened to be there with my mother. We came to do small shopping. I don't remember exactly what we came to shop for. I guess it's just things like sugar, matches, salt, and so forth. And yeah, there are quite a lot of things happening around Ondangwa. Mateus Jobeck, also from Cape Town, was also at the cafe at Ondangwa. There are quite a number of Mbumba, Erasmus Mbumba, brother to Nangolo Mbumba, also had a business at Ondangwa, and many others. There are quite a number of politicians around Ondangwa area. So Ondangwa was quite a developed area by that time. All the churches were around Ondangwa, all the shops were around Ondangwa, and people came when they went for contract labor system. The recruitment took place at Ondangwa. So we had a lot of people coming from all over Ovamboland at that time, including Southern Angola, coming to Ondangwa. So it's kind of a metropolitan thing. So we used to many people from various distant places actually being at Ondangwa. So and then when I, of course, did my schooling there, and in the 70s, early 70s, I think you remember there were strikes, also labor strike, big one. People were burning down places like Cross and so forth, protesting, mainly fishermen from Moafish Bay. And they all dropped it off at Ondangwa and then dispatched it to other places. And so I think those are the things that, also there were also strikes by students. At many schools like Odibo, Shigambo, Ngwediva, and other places. So this, and therefore some of us were not allowed to continue schooling. We regarded as troublemakers, if you like, and so we had to find other ways to survive or continue our education. I completed my what is now called my metric by correspondence later on, while I was still working. So when I left school, that's now my work experience, my work life very briefly. I came to Windhoek. Before that I went to several places. I even worked at Walvis Bay, but very briefly. Then I came to Windhoek. I got a very nice job. I was employed by a company called Edmond La France. Later on, they merged with LTA. They are in construction, road construction, and other major projects. And from Windhoek, I was transferred I was transferred to northern Southwest Africa, if you like, that time, or northern Namibia now, specifically to Orakana and the work at Demis, so to work on those two projects. And we started those from scratch. We built a Kalweka Dam, we built the Orakana hydropower station, we improved the road between Oshakati and Orakana to a gravel standard. We also helped to build the part of the canal that supplies most part of the northern Namibia today. So worked on that water supply complex or system, if you like. So, and thereafter then I returned to Windhoek, and then I was overseeing projects in Arandes, the Ochihaze, a road construction between Hibi and Kate Mansop, and many other projects before I eventually left Namibia to join the liberation struggle abroad in 1974. Yeah.
Okay, now that we are at politics, which is, I think, the most interesting part, where the fellow young people would like to learn so as to be inspired, I'd like to ask General, what do you consider as the most significant political event that has happened in General's life?
Yeah, internationally, I would say I would choose one. Very quickly, there's been so many events, but I would rather choose the event of October 1917. It's called the Great October Socialist Revolution in Russia. So that's what was carried out by Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. I think that event changed the world drastically, in my view, leading to bipolar relations, leading to Cold War, leading to West and East relationships, and dividing the world, if you like, in so many other ways. And so, as a result of that revolution, I think we Namibians and others in Africa, African countries, Asia, and so many other countries, Latin America and so forth, were able to liberate ourselves because we relied on the support from mainly the Soviet Union and other socialist countries, led mainly by the Soviet Union, as while the Americans, on the other hand, were doing quite the opposite. So I think that's the biggest event, in my view, that has happened. Yeah, there are many others, but that one is critical.
Any national one, General?
National, I would say, the biggest one I've seen and experienced is actually the dawn of independence. That day, 21st of March, I think it transformed our society, transformed our nation, transformed our country, leading up to the point where we are today. I think that was the major event to happen in the history of Namibia.
If General could meet any historical icon, either of the present or the past, which one would it be and why?
I'll pick Fidel Castro of Cuba. Yeah, Fidel Castro of Cuba.
What does General admire more about Namibia, and what makes you a proud Namibian?
Namibians are resilient people. They're really, really brave characters. And I think we just need to go back to our history to understand what Namibia is all about and what people who actually now live in Namibia, because in the ancient history, of course, we were not a nation state. We were not a nation state. We were a country, but not as united as perhaps as we are. We did not know each other perhaps also as much as we do now, due to a number of factors, communication, all that. But still, people used to communicate. Yes. We just need to go over the history from the history of the Namas resistance in the south, coming to the Hereros, leading to the genocide, and then people in the north, Mandumi and then Fayo, those people from Asitwe, Kwanyama, Mbanja. It was not easy. It was very difficult. If you want to know who Namibians are, you would probably go back and ask not the current South Africans, but the racist South Africans too. They would probably tell you that they still ask us to date, what is that has been driving you? I mean, you keep on coming, despite all that. I mean, we had planes, we had tanks, we had this, we had nice food to eat, we were paid well and all the rest. You were not getting anything equivalent to us, and yet you were able to fight and fight on. I said, we're fighting for our land, that's all. So, and we were determined. It was always things like life or death, we shall win.
Now, General, by learning about your history, we've seen that you've received different honors and gold medals in your lifetime. Could you just share a few of these honors that you have received and what they signify?
Yeah, I know the honors that I have received. Obviously, I always like to put it this way, that let's start with leadership and management. So, put simply, you lead people and you manage things. So, when you lead people and successfully, then you become a team and all of you become winners. And as a leader, you are recognized on behalf of the people you are leading. So I would rather say this recognition is not mine alone. It was given to me by virtue of my position and the responsibilities that I had. Not necessarily, not to be attributed to Martin Shali alone, no. Yeah. But I'm proud of them.
Thank you, General. We are about to conclude. So I'd like to ask, what is your favorite Namibian saying, or if I can say Namibian quote, a saying that inspires you and gives you hope in the Namibian context?
There are two things I've learned, and probably not only me, from our great leader of the revolution, Comrade Namibian. And he has said so many things, but I pick two. One is when he said that a united people, united come and go, will always emerge victorious. That philosophical statement remains relevant to date. So you can only achieve so much when you are united and when you are working together as a nation, as a group. Even yourselves here. The moment something happens with your team, then one of your cameras stop functioning, then you get into trouble. So that's the one. The other one is when on the 21st of March 1990, President Nkrumah declared on behalf of the rest of us that never ever again shall Namibia become a colony again. That statement, I do not see how Namibia will become a colony again. Not in my lifetime, at least. So, and colonialism is out of fashion. So those are some of the statements that echoes very well. But however, as a nation, there are so many things that we need to do. We are getting more and more fragmented, unfortunately. We seem not to appreciate any longer the achievements of the revolution. We seem not to appreciate people who have fought for this country, dead or alive. It's not only about Martin Shali, Nkrumah, and others who are still here, but it's not about only the struggle that we waged from the 60s or 80s, but we're talking about, people like Jacob Morenga, the Vete Boys, the Mahareros, the Hari Yampingana, Mandumi and Demfa, Ipumbu Achirongo, the list goes on. If
they were to make a movie about your life, who would General choose as the director of that movie and why?
I would choose you.
Oh, wow.
Miriam Dipo. Yes.
Thank you, General. It's an honor. Lastly, General, what are the main lessons that you've learned in life, and what's your advice to young people into preserving the history of Namibia, which was not won easy, and which the price to pay for our history was, for our peace and stability, was blood? Seeing that most of the young people need this type of inspiration and encouragement just to preserve the importance of what history means, especially the Namibian history.
Personally, so I'm not a young person. I've come a long way. I was born in 1954. If you calculate, it gives you 66 years. So I've lived for 66 years, and it's not a short time. There's so many things I've seen. There's so many things I've experienced, and all that. And I'm proud of what I've seen, and I'm proud to have participated in the armed liberation struggle, because that one has made me what I am. I've proven whether I'm worthy being called a man or not a man, and all that. So it's completely different. I'm not saying that all of us must go through the same experience, because it's not necessary anymore. It's not necessary anymore. But that is the kind of school that we've gone through. We are schooled in SWAP. We're schooled in exile. Where you, like I said before, where you just get to know so many people. and everybody becomes like a brother and becomes like a sister, and that's what's currently lacking now. We don't have that anymore. So I don't know what should be done, but I think few things can be done. We can fix that, but we need to do that quickly. So the other thing I'm telling you now here is there are a few basic things that people must do. So naturally, people who tend to live long and live healthier lives, enjoy even a family life, are people who are naturally self-disciplined. People normally well brought up. Being well brought up does not mean you have not to suffer at the beginning. Usually people have suffered in their childhood for a number of reasons. Maybe because their parents could not afford to send them to school. It does not mean that they are not intelligent, they were just not given an opportunity. If all of us went abroad, went to school, some of us could have returned doctors. I was good at school all the time. I was on top of my class throughout everywhere I went, and so I would have been a doctor 3 times. So is everybody else. It's those people who have gone through those difficulties that really live better. So it's self-discipline. It's respecting other people, other human beings. You have to respect other human beings for what they are, because they are humans, not because of what they have or what they have achieved in life. Well, if they have achieved something, fine, but does not necessarily mean that they deserve respect because somebody is rich for one other reason, or comes from a well-to-do family, must be respected. But every human being must be respected. So you must treat them as you would want other people to treat you. So I give an example of, for example, President Noma, why he lived such a life. I mean, for example, he has never smoked, as far as I know. He's never taken alcohol, as far as I know. He exercises his body, he respects people, he respects everybody. And if you look at his history, growing up a young boy, doing this, one day he's handing a lion, the other day the lion is handing him, and all those kind of things. So you must be handed by something that makes you to become what you become one day, and you must suffer a little bit. My experience it's been rough and tough at times. Even if I told you I was born at Ondangwa. Ondangwa was just a village at that time. It's not like Ondangwa now, the current Ondangwa. And when later on I seen, for example, there are very few people of my generation at Ondangwa. Most people have died very early because of the development. Started drinking tombo, doing all the stupid things and all that, and most of the people were born at the same time as I were. If they are, maybe there are few women around, but I don't see them anymore. So they all died very early, so because they went with the flow. So that's very dangerous. So I consider myself coming from that particular area to be lucky and still be here and alive.
Thank you very much, General. This was indeed a very inspirational story of your life. And I'd like to, on behalf of my team, thank you for your contribution that you have made to the liberation struggle of Namibia and in all your other respective roles. And I wish you all the best and abundant blessings from God Almighty.
Thank you, Miriam. I wish you all the best. You wish yourself, your team, and Aluta continue.
Thank you very much.